You're watching 7th Circle Gaming. Today we're going to be analyzing the game Prey. We're also going to be attempting to answer the question of why is this game not more popular, despite the critical approval. If there is a better word for that, I'd love to know. Anyway, let's move on to the full disclosure. And of course, you're very welcome to pause the video now and read through these at your leisure, or if you prefer not to, we'll move right on to the screenshots. The first one that we're going to share with you is just an illustration of what the world in Prey looks like, and we would describe this as office building or hospital-like. It just so happens that everything is set in outer space. A fairly mundane setting, just in an odd place. The user interface of the game is fairly minimalistic, at least on this part of the screen, sort of exploration screen. And there is another screenshot we want to share with you, which is a major part of the game too, and that is the upgrade paths. There are at least a few available to the player. There's not only the physical upgrades, but there's also suit upgrades that players can unlock through collecting in-game objects, which of course have statistics attached to them, and almost everything feeds into one of these systems in some way, in some shape or form. And on that note, there's not much more to say, so we'll move right on to chapter 1 of the video, which is Immersion, as always. And Prey is earned a 12 out of 15 for Immersion. One of the things it's going to do to get players invested into the game world is presentation. As we saw in that first screenshot, Prey is told through a first-person perspective. There is a mixture of science fiction and modern elements. As we said earlier, it's an office building or hospital that just happens to be in space, so it is somewhat relatable. The most unrelatable aspect of it is that there does seem to be reduced gravity. The game also provides player agency to get players invested into the game world in the form of those upgrade paths that we showed you one example of. In addition to that, there is combat. Players do face enemy creatures in the game, and they often tend to be in a sort of surprise jump scary way presented. In a first time on the channel, Prey also provides players with some interactability with their environment to a greater degree than some other games, and that does provide some immersion. Simply the ability to pick up a coffee pot and throw the coffee pot around, or pick up a chair and throw the chair around, does have some immersion value. The game also is going to attempt to use audio to immerse players into the game world, and this is going to take mostly the form of audio cues or audio logs. In-game sounds, the sound of a cup breaking, the sound of footsteps, or heavy breathing after an exertion. Now, in addition to that, yes, there's quite a list of things here. The game is going to provide statistics focus to get players invested into the game world. And again, like we said in that second screen, when we were discussing the second screenshot, all of these in-game objects, yes, of course, have statistics attached to them, but they are feeding in some way into an upgrade path for the player character. And these elements are all presented as part of a larger plot, so the game is going to be using story to get players immersed into the game world as well, all culminating in an earned score of 12 out of 15. And with that, we're going to move on to our second chapter, which is difficulty. This screenshot that you're seeing now is just meant illustrative of what the difficulty options are like. Do note that there are several other modifiers apart from the primary difficulty setting, the course setting of normal, easy, or hard, and then some survival mode options. And with that, let's move on. And for its difficulty score, Prey has earned a 6 out of 15. There are only two options for difficulty, normal and hard, apart from the New Game Plus mode. Yes, we did notice that. It does not make clear how those options are going to impact gameplay. However, survival mode options do offer an increased challenge for players who are interested in it. There's also the New Game Plus mode. On the other hand, the key bindings are not overly complicated. Mouse usage, however, there were some things that we didn't find that were absolutely optimal. On the other hand, even that was not as suboptimal as the gamepad. The majority of functions worked fine with either keypad or gamepad or keyboard and mouse, but some minor interactions did favor the mouse and keyboard. And so, Prey has earned a 6 out of 15 for difficulty. With that, though, on to Chapter 3, Lasting Appeal. And Prey has earned a 2 out of 15 for Lasting Appeal. There is some DLC available for the game, however, it does seem to require significant time commitment to play through Prey. And while the story will appeal to some players, that does impact the replay value of Prey. So, where does Prey stand overall? Good question. Overall, Prey has earned a not entirely inappropriate 6.66 out of 15. And our next statements, of course, we want to caveat them as being highly subjective, so please take those with grains of salt over both shoulders and whatever other things you prefer to do. The game does seem to be slow-paced, and because it is a story-based game, which there doesn't seem to be much change over multiple plays, it does lack replay value. In all of our playthroughs of the game, there does seem to be an optimal upgrade path. Some upgrades just really didn't seem to be used, others were more useful than others. We did notice that there was a fair amount of backtracking that was beneficial to the player because there were things that players would encounter early in the game that they would have to wait until they had mid-game abilities to unlock, assuming they indulged in or pursued that upgrade path. Finally, and this is very highly subjective, but manipulating the objects in the game world does provide some entertainment value for the player. So that's going to leave us with the question of why is this game not more popular than it is? What it certainly seems to be the case is Prey is not more popular than it is because it does take a significant amount of time to play through, and being a story-based game, there doesn't seem to be the replay value. What we noticed during all of our evaluation sessions is that Prey to us seemed to be sort of like building a Lego set, where the player is only given one page of directions and one brick at a time. So it does take a significant amount of time. The player might be able to see what's coming next, but they have to wait for the game to present them with the thing that they need to proceed. And modern players simply aren't prepared for that. Although that is highly subjective, some players may really enjoy that. But on that note, there's really nothing more to say that is objective. Everything from this point, until we caveated everything, is highly subjective, so grains of salt. But congratulations, that's the end of the video. If you did like the video, please leave a like, do the other YouTube things. I would love to hear any comments from other players who have experienced Prey. or any games that you would really like to see on the channel, please leave those in the comments section below. Otherwise, from 7th Circle Gaming, goodbye.